What up, what up, what up? Welcome back to Lockdown Universe, home of the bizarre, peculiar, and unheard of stories of UFO legend and paranormal lore. Welcome back, welcome back. Happy to be back. Hopefully you guys are doing excellent and taking care of yourselves. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about cats and whether or not they're interdimensional, whether or not they are telepathic, and whether or not they can see into other dimensions. So this is really interesting because I actually took in a stray cat not too long ago, and I swear he can see into other dimensions and he can pop in and out of reality, pop into wherever he wants to. But let's take a look at the science and let's see if there's anyone else that feels the same way. So I went to none other than cats.com to get a good answer. Now cats.com may be, a little bit biased, but I've looked at some other articles and sources, and we're going to take a look at them. And if you can see behind me, I've got Jack Skellington hanging out with me, and I got Sally staring at me like a Tim Burton movie. It's kind of creepy. Got Superman over there. We've got the Hulk making an appearance. Yes, we've got the Flash flashing in and out. We've got Iron Man coming through, and we've got special guest Batman. So we've got everybody hanging out with us. Hopefully you'll enjoy their company as well. Maybe who should we keep with us today? Superman's a new addition. Let's oh no, where'd he go? Oh, he's back there. That's right, Superman's right up there. Anyway, guys, we'll bring back the evil kitty and the dead baby, or the dead alien, back with us soon. Anyway, so let's get to it. So I got a decent article off of USA Today, and it tells us cats may actually see things that are invisible to us. I wanted to get down to the science of it because we can get into plenty of anecdotal stories, but I wanted to see if there's any real science. So it says, let's take a look at when this was actually published. This was published, about 10 years ago, February 19th, 2014. Okay. Now, cats have long been seen as kind of rulers of the underworld, interdimensional beings, and able to speak to other dimensions by the ancient Egyptians. They worshipped them, they saw them as gods, and they were able to communicate in between the living and the dead. So if they were that smart, 4,000, 6,000 years ago, and they were able to build the pyramids and all of the beautiful architecture back then, maybe they were able to see something, they were onto something. So according to this article in USA Today, it says, new research has found that cats, dogs, and selected other animals may be able to see things that are invisible to the human eye. That's because they're able to see UV light. Okay, UV light, right? According to a published paper by the Proceedings of the Royal Society B. So we've known for a century that many invertebrates can see into UV. It's been long assumed that the majority of mammals had lenses like our own, but only until recently were we able to discover what certain animals were able to see and which wavelengths they were able to see into. So researchers have now come to the conclusion by reviewing the eyes of dead mammals and then measuring how much light passed through the retina, that some animals' lenses permitted the ability to see more UV light pass through, and they can detect UV. So this is important because when it comes down to different wavelengths of light, we want to see if these cats can see into another dimension. It's freaking me out. I got Jack Skellington back here wanting to pull my head off or something. I'm not sure. He's got his hand out. So, what a lot of people don't realize with cats is they prey at night. They usually sleep during the day and they go outside at night. At least that's what my cat does. And so they have the capability to see at night 6 times better than humans can so that they can hunt. So that's pretty impressive. They, let's pull up what they have on the USA Today. They also state that they're privy to what we are not, patterns on flowers that can reveal the presence of a nectar, urine-marked landscape, which I'm okay with not knowing about. As far as predators go, they actually say that reindeer are able to see polar bears against snow when humans might not be able to. So there's lots of animals out there that can see things that we cannot. Now, let's go to, like, a few more stories of anecdotal evidence, right? We have stories of people who have actually experienced their animals seeing things in the ether, if you will. There was a beautiful video on, I think it was YouTube, where there was a cat pawing into the ether, into nothing, right? But you could see on its face, it was very inquisitive, and it was kind of like, it wasn't like clawing, it was like trying to like touch something that wasn't there. The person who was taking the video stated that their dog had just passed away, and that they believed the cat was trying to see it up in the sky, and the dog was visiting with it right in a room. It wasn't outside; it was in a room. It was really, really quite fascinating to watch. I mean, it was a beautiful video. But let's take a few more anecdotal stories, right? Maybe people live in an older home and they have an animal that can see things at night. Well, let's take a look here. The question also can be, can they simply see things in the physical realm that are actually there that we can't see either, right? Because we got to keep our minds open. Okay, so let's take one example off of the internet, right? Can cats see interdimensional beings that humans cannot perceive? Okay, so ChatGPT's got their own version. We have one here that says, the question inferred that humans can't perceive interdimensional beings, but many people can perceive beings or ghosts, and many other mammals can perceive energies that they emanate as well. So you got to keep that in mind too. There are humans that are capable of seeing ghosts and other unworldly entities, mediums, just your everyday average Joe. Sometimes they can see into them. I personally have a family friend who was a psychic who grew up, and she had no idea that nobody else could not see ghosts. And that was just part of her life. And so she became a psychic and talked to the spirits, and helped people recommunicate with their lost loved ones. So here's a really interesting question. Can cats see into a different reality or different dimension? Yes. Some believe cats can actually see into the past. When they walk into a room, they may be seeing someone who has entered or left the room before they arrived. Now we're talking about not only interdimensional, but we're also talking about the past before they even got there. So this is really interesting. This poster on Quora.com, Nate White says, they cannot see into the possible future like us. So he's referring to humans being able to see into the possible future, which may be true. In our dreams, we do get some predictive capabilities. But they can see the recent past of all time. Could you imagine that? It reminds me of the chronovisor that apparently the Italian, Rome in Italy has reportedly created. A father back in, I think it was like 1967, he created a chronovisor that could see through all time, just depending on where you pointed this thing at it. And it was picking up on radiation energies that were just in the air, kind of like Wi-Fi, but for seeing into the past and even into the future. It's pretty interesting. They also state in this Quora post that some of the reason they're able to see things that we cannot see is vastly due to their subtle sense of smell. But cats have an even more extraordinary clairvoyant capability. Sadly, they have point blank refused to tell us what it is. They definitely know something that we don't. Ask anyone who's ever owned a cat. No one knows what it is, but whatever it is, it would probably blow our little human minds. My cat used to look at me pityingly sometimes, and it was very unnerving. He never told me why. He took his secret to the grave. Now, these are all fine and fun and fancy and interesting, but there's a story about a teleporting cat, teleporting felines, actually, from an article on StrangerDimensions.com created April 23, 2017 by Rob Schwartz. The question is, are cats able to teleport? He says, we know what you're thinking. This is one of the most bizarre headlines you're ever going to read, but you're probably right, but stick with us. They quote Wikipedia as defining an interdimensional being as a type of theoretical or fictional entity existing in a dimension beyond our own. A fictional example might be the mice from The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which are described as merely the protrusion into our dimension of vast, hyper-intelligent pan-dimensional beings. Maybe that's what cats are to a degree. I mean, let's face it, cats are very aloof and in a world of their own. So this article posits that you may be surprised to learn that cats are connected to or can enter other dimensions, and this is not a new theory. Cats may even be able to slip into alternate dimensions or wink out of existence. In 2015, this question was posed over at Reddit's Glitch in the Matrix thread, where cats always seem to wind up in places they shouldn't or disappear for days on end. Are they glitchy? According to them. In fact, cats have been long associated with paranormal and otherworldly events. Consider their connection to witchcraft, right? Oh, we always have black cats in witchcraft. And superstition involving black cats. And even the ancient Egyptians believed that cats were sacred, and anybody that killed a cat on purpose was tortured, so that they worshipped them. So, can these felines actually dimension hop? Has there ever been a real story? Well, let's take a look. For example, in 2012, an account stated that a cat somehow teleported across a town. Okay, so let's take a look at this. This article states, in the same article, it's a quote. So not so long ago, I was laying in bed with my cat. This author writes, I should say. I suddenly got hungry, so I went to the kitchen and got some chips. I went back to my room, and the cat was gone. Remember, she said I was laying on my bed with the cat, and suddenly it was gone. Not even 5 seconds later, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I get a call from a friend across town. She says that my cat is on his porch. I look at the clock. It's been about 3 minutes. I have no idea how this happened or how it was even remotely possible. Very interesting. In that same thread, one person mentioned that his cat was strolling around under his desk at work, and what was the problem? The cat wasn't at work with him. She was 12 miles away at home. How could this be, right? Doesn't make any sense. Still another report tells of a cat teleporting around a house. Reddit user LightBoothFun could only describe the experience as unsettling and something strange. Her black cat had been following her throughout the house as usual, attacking her feet. Eventually she got annoyed, and after a few minutes of this, I stopped and I looked at him sternly. He got scared and skittered off behind me, hiding in the room on the other side of the house. She watched the cat run away. And yet, after walking to the front door and opening it, this author spotted something black between the door and the wall. It was her cat sitting there chilling out after a quick teleportation. And that wasn't all. The cat looked terrified and bewildered with his fur standing on end. So what she's saying is that she looked at this cat after it was like attacking her feet, and it skittered off behind her, hiding in a room on the other side of the house. She went straight to the front door and opened it, and there was her cat who teleported out of nowhere. It doesn't make much sense to me, but it didn't make much sense to her either. There's no way he could have gotten past me without noticing. Did her cat accidentally slip through space and time? Maybe. Even dead cats have returned from the grave, missing time included, and if the following report is to be believed. So Reddit user Kaylee Ann awoke early one morning to find her cat Gandalf unresponsive at the foot of her bed. He hadn't moved since the night before and was completely silent. She was worried, and she picked Gandalf up, only to find him stiff and cold and not breathing. His tongue was out slightly, she wrote, and I started crying. She hurriedly woke up her boyfriend, and then the strangest thing happened. Gandalf seemingly popped back to life and began playfully attacking her boyfriend's feet. As if that wasn't enough, something very peculiar happened at the time. From waking up to discovering my dead cat to waking my boyfriend up couldn't have taken more than 2 minutes. She says, but the entire situation actually lasted over an hour. How can that be? It seems that we have a case of missing time, just like we do with alien phenomena. They say it certainly puts a new spin on the idea of Schrodinger's cat. Don't blink, though. In another case, a Redditor thought he felt his cat rub up against his leg and even give out a distinctive whine, but when he looked down, his cat was not there. When he got up to look for her, he found the cat asleep on the other side of the couch, or on the other side of the house, rather, on a couch on the other side of the house. Some commenters said that, maybe the cat had somehow astrally projected herself while sleeping. Now, the astral projection point is kind of interesting, isn't it? Because that could give us an excuse for why that man had his cat project itself to him when the cat was home 12 miles away. This is not that uncommon. What's interesting is the idea of the teleporting cat was also created by Neil Gaiman, as pointed out by one of the main characters in the book Neverwhere, a Mr. Carabas, De Carabas, was almost like a Puss in Boots character that was able to interdimensionally maneuver in between worlds and bring the protagonist to Neverwhere. So even Neil Gaiman, one of the most accomplished authors, has written about the idea that cats might actually be interdimensional. Now, finally, we have the case of a cat doppelganger. Redditor Emurial88 returned home late one night to find his cat Pabu sitting at the end of his driveway. When he approached him, Pabu darted away, and yet when he walked in the house, there was his cat sleeping on his desk chair. He says, quote, I swear on my life that cat I saw was outside. The one I got within arm's reach of was exactly the same size, fur markings, and face as my Pabu. It was my Pabu. I live in a semi-rural area, and I've never seen another black cat in my area ever, let alone one that is the exact replica of Pabu and his weird, sad face. Now, keep this in mind, right, that a lot of people can say, oh, it's just a doppelganger. People know they're animals. I mean, let's face it, and we know their distinct markings. My cat, the cat that I've inherited, adopted off the streets, has distinct curled down ears, most likely from frostbite. And so we know that, we know this cat. It's not, most cats don't have that. This cat has lived outside for a while. So it's very particular. You know the markings of your own cat. You live with your cat. Might have a strange white patch, like I sometimes do in my beards. Things like this. Can cats actually warp space-time as interdimensional beings? Maybe they can bend reality to their wills. Or do they exist in extra dimensions? Well, it says we should watch out for teleporting cats. It reminds me of that cat island off of Japan where there's like thousands of cats that have just bred and they just leave it alone. It's Cat Island. I think you can visit it. But imagine if they could teleport, right? And just teleport owners to the humans to the island, and then they could have the humans doing their will. That'd be kind of interesting, wouldn't it? Some have instead suggested that cats can't actually travel into these other worlds or dimensions. They can only see them. That's why you'll sometimes find your cat staring off into space and watching things that you cannot see. And then again, as we've already covered, it could be a sign of a ghost or a supernatural entity, as one woman remarked that she continued to hear these loud bangs in her basement. And the cat would hiss and growl at whatever was down there. And then eventually they did some, construction and restructurization of their house and blocked off that area, and they never had any more problems. They adopted more cats and never had any more problems, but it was very interesting. So are cats interdimensional beings? Maybe, maybe not. Can they see into other dimensions, or at least outside of our light spectrum and our capabilities, human capabilities? Yes, they can. So whether your cat's pawing at the door at midnight, maybe seeing some entities during the day or night, or it's merely saying goodbye to a furry feline or a furry dogged loved one while it passed away or after it passed away, and seems to be pawing in the air at nothing, an invisible fly, maybe it's simply saying goodbye to your beloved other pet. So keep that in mind. Again, we continue to follow the Miami story. We'll continue to bring you updates on that, if there are any. And I hope you guys are enjoying the podcast. I hope you guys are taking care of yourselves and your loved ones, following through on your hobbies and your goals and your dreams, and as always, continue to question the universe around you. I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend, whatever it may be, and we'll be back. We'll be back tomorrow with another one. So continue to question the universe around you. Like, follow, share, and subscribe. And as always, Locked On Universe out. Take care. Bye-bye.